Hello and welcome to the Recovery Matters podcast from CCAR, the podcast where putting recovery first is always the goal. Here we present interviews, discussions, stories, and speeches to cultivate the understanding and acceptance of the power, hope, and healing of recovery from alcohol and other addictions. Here are your hosts, Phil and Sandy Valentine.
Philip, today is kind of
wait a minute. Why did you call me Philip? You call me Philip, I'm in trouble.
You're not in trouble.
All right.
Today is an anniversary of sorts. And
is it?
It is. And I know we don't really talk about dates and times here, so I won't share the date and time, but it is the anniversary of my original fall down stairs and breaking my left shoulder.
In Ellington?
In Ellington, back
Really?
in 1991. That
30 years.
solidified our relationship because you came to me in the middle of my
Have
crisis.
we been together 30 years?
Yes.
Was that did
That's
has
a
it gone by
long
quickly or slowly?
I feel like I've lived 10 lives within those 30 years.
Hey, but I do like your t-shirt.
I know. I'm so excited.
But why were you talking about your shoulder, though?
Well, because I realized what date it was, and I had fallen down those stairs, and when the neighbor, after they called 911, said, "Would you like me to call somebody for you?"
And they called me.
Said, "Call Phil."
That sounds like a story. Oh, it was a story, wasn't it?
It was a story.
I thought you were going to refer to when you fell down 2 flights of or 1 flight, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the ice, hit the pavement.
Frost. It was frost.
That you rose.
Yes. Well,
you recovered, and now you live.
That is absolutely true because the Phoenix is in the house with our good friend Leigh.
She has the same T-shirt on. I only have CCAR gear and a hat.
I got a V-neck.
Yeah, she's
rise,
got the V-neck.
recover.
Well, it shows arm muscles. I wouldn't do good with that.
Leigh, do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
You're the second person that's done that. Do you want to say hi to everybody? You said hi, everybody. I love it. Now, if you were going to give us like a promotional bio, you know how like when they ask you to speak at places, they want to hear a bio. What would you include in your bio?
That's a good question.
I know, isn't it? I just thought of it on the way here.
So that's a good question. Is the bio like, oh, I can include like my own life, or is it like a professional bio? Because I love when they ask, well, what do you do in your free time? Or, so you got to be more specific.
Let's start with the professional bio, and then because we're going to get everything about your life.
Okay. So before Phoenix?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I initially, before my recovery journey, there wasn't a lot of professionality there. So we'll start there. So after I decided to change my life, I went back to school, did that for a while, graduated from Connecticut College in 2019. I started working at an agency that was the agency did many things, and if you Google it, you will know. And I worked in their syringe services. I did HIV and Hep C testing, and my first exposure to CCAR was actually there. Mm-hmm. I went to the Recovery Coach Academy through them. They were awesome. That was, I did that for about 2.5 years, and actually one of your awesome employees sent me the Phoenix opening, and that has been since April.
Which awesome employee was that?
Jennifer Chudukowicz.
Yeah, okay.
And I love her. I actually just listened to her Recovery Matters podcast on the way here.
Wow.
And I texted her and I said, I just love you.
Mm-hmm.
She's awesome. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I did the school thing for many years. So that was when I stopped using, it was May 20th, 2013. So I was in school just trying to finish that. And, people will still ask me when they haven't seen me for a while. They're like, are you still in school? I'm like, no, that is done with,
What was your major?
It was anthropology and gender and women's studies.
I love anthropology. If I'd have known what an anthropologist was when I was 18, that would have been my major. But I thought they dug in the dirt in the desert.
They
Well,
do,
some
don't
of them
they?
do.
That's an archaeologist,
No,
mostly.
but archaeology is a branch of...
Right, but I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't know about cultural anthropology
Yeah.
and all that
I'd
good stuff.
like to do that.
Yeah.
Dig in the dirt.
That
I'd
was,
like to do that.
when I was a kid, I was like, that is it. And actually, when I met with my advisor before I started at Connecticut College, he was like, why anthropology? I'm like, I want to know more about culture and people and, kind of, figure out how we got here, So that has been a serious, because it's the study of people and culture. So that has really helped inform how I interact with people in my professional life. And I'm not even going to lie, when I was in school and we'd talk about, I was older than everyone too. I was 30 and they were 18, 20, it's a small liberal arts school. And they would say to me, well, what do you know about like life? And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I would tell stories like I was like a grandparent, like they thought I was like ancient,
A wise one.
Yes.
but it definitely helped. Like the moral of that is like I would be like, oh, how is this gonna this school right here, how is this going to inform what I want to do later on? I always thought it was going to be more school, like grad school. I was really interested in a public health degree for a while, and that costs money. So, I'm taking a break for now. We'll see with school in the future.
I had a friend tell me that many, many years ago when his dad sent him to college, that his dad told him it's not so much what you study, but how you need to use this time to figure out how you learn. And how you learn best, because you're going to spend the rest of your life learning. That was Mark Ames. And that was so true that it took me a long time to figure out how I keep learning, and we always want to keep learning. I drive by Connecticut College all the time. We both do.
Yeah.
What do you do over there?
We drive to Charlestown, Rhode Island.
And I see that on I've seen that. I love it there. That is like when we talk about a peaceful place, and I've listened to you two talk about the woods and the beach. I am a both, but the beach, and specifically Rhode Island beaches, is like, that's like the safe, peaceful place of like, when I think about like heaven, that's what I think about.
Wow.
It's hard to find isolated places, but with the overseeing permit, maybe I shouldn't talk about that too much.
You told me I could never discuss it because I ruined
Don
things.
might have to cut this out, I'm not sure. But it's hard to find beaches now where there aren't a lot of people, especially since the pandemic. People are flocking to the shores, and there's a well-known campground in Rhode Island that it closes Columbus Day, and the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the season, there's hardly anybody in this campground, and so I get woods and beach. I spent a week there with my son recently, and Sandy was able to join us a few times, but to camp in the woods and then drive to the beach, that's a pretty good day. It's a pretty good day.
So when you saying that, like when I was listening to the podcast with Scott and saying like the Pacific Northwest, I was like, where is there really good beach and really good mountains or woods or whatever? What about like the coast of California, like the lower, not the upper? Like it's sunny there, a little colder maybe, but not as cold as Maine.
Yeah,
that was mentioned, and I was like, oh God.
Yeah, but
cold.
I like the cold.
Not for the beach, though. No, I like to. Are you in the water?
Not in the winter, but yes.
In the summer,
oh,
right?
yeah, I'm in the water.
Well, we got
sure.
Orca Kevin, our surfer guy that runs Orca, and he's out all year long in Rhode Island. Just
in a wetsuit.
You need a good wetsuit. That's all you need.
Yeah.
I don't think I would look so good in a wetsuit.
It's just having a total vision moment. Honestly, it's not even how you would look fine in a wetsuit. It would just be watching you put it on and taking it off. That would be.
We don't have to watch that part.
Very funny.
I have like a vision of you with the one that goes like all the way over your head, and it's.
Oh yeah.
Does anyone look good?
Kevin.
Yeah, Orca Kevin that looks
Orca Kevin looks okay.
Yeah.
That might need to be cut out too, right?
Yeah. No,
We're
probably
having
not.
a day.
Well, they have the thing, and that's just the hood you pull over the mask to keep your head warm.
I love
too.
that thing. It's funny.
Yeah.
I
Anyway.
wore a wetsuit once.
Once?
Twice. 2 times. And that's, I did it for the manatees in Florida, and I went river rafting up in Maine. And it was I needed it that day.
I bet.
Well, I will say that now that you've put it out there, probably like a dozen opportunities to wear a wetsuit are going to come your way.
Well,
you talked about the mountains and the woods meeting the ocean. There aren't too many places in the United States where that happens. Maine has like Camden that has one of the tallest coastal mountain on the entire East Coast. And think about it, there's no hills really anywhere on the entire East Coast.
No.
You'd have to go West Coast probably, but even the main beaches, are they really beaches or are they rocky shores?
Yeah. Is it, a place where people can hang out?
So
sorry.
I was going to say, one of my roles with the podcast is to circle us back because we were talking about her professional.
Why don't you let us go down rabbit trails? That's what we do. No?
I like some some
continuity,
and I was really curious what was happening
next. Before we do that, I want to. So you two met at the Recovery Fest, right?
I was extroverted. I walked right over to that table and introduced myself.
And what did you think
not
of her
my
the
norm.
first time you
I
met
loved her. I said, I know. When she started talking, I was like, oh, I know her. And I was like, I'm going to hug you. So
how did you know her?
From the podcast.
Oh, see, you're a celebrity. You have celebrity status.
But normally I'm not that person. But when you are in a group of people in recovery, you get so juiced up that, you can walk up to strangers.
That's the recovery community.
Yeah.
We all have a common bond, connection.
I had so much fun that day in meeting your people from Yukon. Megan and Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were awesome. Meeting a lot of other people. I know Phil was hating on me because I had a long line and he was a little bit jealous, but it was a great day. I talked to a lot of people. It was nice. So thank you for hosting that because it was, it was fun. I didn't get to ride any rides, but I had fun hanging out with people and being an extrovert for a few hours.
I didn't even know there was another part of the park because I was in that little area and tending to the stage the whole time. And we had Mr. Don Documents come in and save the day, at least temporarily, with the whole sound system and everything. But
it was a good day. Good turnout.
It was a good day.
Good event.
When I first got into recovery, I never envisioned a day where there would be festivals or walks or anything that supported recovery. It's remarkable where we've come in 20 plus years. And to think CCAR held the first recovery walk. How about that? In little old Connecticut.
In the world.
In 2000, in the year 2000.
And I've heard so much about that and how big that. When was it? It was 2019 was the last one because of the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah, and there was
20th anniversary or something.
How many people attended that?
I don't recall. I always think about how it goes to other places though. In Philadelphia, they've had upwards of 25,000 people marching for recovery, which is just blows my mind.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. I would love to go to one of those.
To see all those people in the street together too. You'd have to. It'd be like a marathon. You got to shut down the.
They do.
You have to.
Yeah. All right. Yep. So we're talking about recovery. I want you to go back in your mind, back to your earliest memory and what it was like.
Are you going to say little? You're not going to say it?
Do you want to say it?
He always says, tell
Little
us
Leigh.
about Little Leigh.
I know.
No, Little League, not Little League. Little League.
I said Leigh.
We have no idea if she played Little League or not.
No.
Oh, God, another dad joke from the side. I did not see that coming.
You slid it in there.
Gosh. There. Yes.
We didn't know where that league was going, and he showed us.
Mm-hmm.
So my earliest memory ever?
Well, where did you grow up? Where were you born?
So Springfield, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
I, lived in that area, all of it, for many years until 2007, 2008 is when I came out here. But I have a very large extended family. Awesome mom, dad, not so much. Great relationship with my mom. Grandparents too. They're deceased now, but great relationship with them. My mom's parents, though, they were alcoholics, and so very early on, I saw how alcohol can kind of mess things up a little bit for folks. And so for a long time, I stayed away from that, and I think that was kind of what drew me towards drugs. And not to say that I didn't have an issue with drinking, but alcohol was always one of those things I was like, I'm not going to be like them. But, here we are.
Yeah.
So for many years, I grew up in a place, I don't have any siblings. So I grew up, playing, reading, doing a lot of things by myself. My mom worked a lot. My grandparents were, raised me too. And played a little bit of sports until drugs came into the picture. And yeah, what do you want to know?
What was your sport?
So I played soccer and I swam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm challenged in the height department, so I did always want to play basketball, but I was not good at it. So I played one season, I think I was 11, and I was that person that would get stuffed in the paint that you see happening, we were that's embarrassing. And then it gets put on a poster, and that's your memory of that person forever. That's my memory of my basketball experience.
Well, I coached soccer for many years, so
yeah?
What was your position?
I played always in the backfield. I played defense, so one season I played goalie.
I love defenders.
Ooh. Yeah.
You got to have some nerves of steel to be goalie.
Yeah, that was... So I remember I hated it at first. I was this is not fun. I'm going towards pain. I was scared of getting hit, and I did. I got hit head many times. I got a concussion that season, but by the end I loved it. But then the next year we had a really good goalie, and I was willing to let go of that. I hadn't been playing for as long as that girl, so I willingly went back to defense, and then probably played for another season, and that was it.
What was who? Talk to me about any of your friends. Who was your earliest friend that you remember?
This is actually, so my best friend growing up lived at the end of my street. We used to go missing in the woods, and, my mom and her mom would be freaking out.
There are woods in Springfield?
Yeah, in some spots. So Oh, Phil.
They have trees and flowers and grass.
Not too many.
So at that point in time, I was young. I lived in Agawam. I lived there for many years. I did go to high school for my last 2 years of high school there. That was not a good experience because I went to a Catholic high school for the 2 years prior, and then going back to a public school where people are already best friends, and it just... a great experience.
Have you met Dominic Galarno?
I met him
because he grew up in the same town and had a very similar high school experience.
Really?
Yeah, same area. Yeah.
See, I have to talk to him more. I see him in New Haven.
Listen to his podcast.
I saw that one come up too, and I've probably listened to 5 of them.
Yeah.
Because I just saw this when Don Furtman came. He was like, and I was like, there's a podcast, so I'm going to listen to that one. And I could go down a million rabbit holes and tangents, so I'm that person. It's really, it seems like both of us are not good. Yeah. I always need to be redirected.
So she needs to redirect us?
You can redirect me whenever you want.
Okay.
So, your best friend.
My best friend, yeah.
Thanks,
I
forgot too.
So my best friend and I, 5 years old, just doing everything together. We used to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark? And, we were weird kids. We used to play, vampire games.
He knows what that is. Don does. He was shaking his head. I have no idea
so
what you're
awesome.
talking about.
Such a good show. We were creepy kids. And, we used to have a lot of fun. We went to different middle schools after, not middle school, elementary school. I think after second grade.
What was your friend's name?
Cassie. Mm-hmm. And it's actually, we lost touch for many years. High school, we were still really good friends. We both went to separate high schools, but we managed to become friends. But when my addiction got really bad, she was in my life, and unfortunately, she's still alive, but she's in Florida, and I haven't spoke to her in a long time. So it's, we all have our
phases.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm intrigued that you said you were creepy kids.
I was creepy.
Well,
I still am.
How do you define creepy?
I love the idea of ghosts and spirit until I'm
Is there any creepy stuff in your ink?
I don't have any creepy stuff. This is an Egyptian, so I'm Arab.
We're checking out her tattoos.
Well, she might be. You might be on camera with them.
So there's some dead people here. This is
that could be creepy.
This is Nefertiti and Hatshepsut, a bunch of different people that aren't here anymore.
Was
gods
that
or goddesses.
Pre-recovery or after recovery?
No, this is after recovery.
You got all your ink after recovery?
No. This was this is actually a phoenix, and I was 18 when I got it.
No.
And it's the same thing going the other way.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I have some stuff on my back, my foot, but nothing creepy, which is, why? Because I always care so much. Not so much now, it's getting better, but what do people think? They're going to think I'm weird. Mm-hmm. I try to embrace my weirdness now, but...
So you were about to tell us your family culture?
Yeah, so I am Arab, Lebanese, little Egyptian in there. So this is an Egyptian theme, and...
Very cool.
Yeah. It's really cool that you asked me that. So I come... multiple pathways, but I got to recovery by way of 12 steps. So once I finished the 12 steps the first time, I was I can get tattooed. I had this thing in my brain, what I want now at a year in recovery is not going to be the same. And so I waited, and this is the first of it. Mm-hmm. So after the first 12 steps, I rewarded myself with a sleeve.
Nice.
That's my motivation. So I'm on a 9th step again, so I'm getting close, and I got to find some room somewhere.
I'm sure you will.
I will. I have a lot of room. I got 2 legs that don't have anything on them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I love... This didn't hurt that much. I was young and, not probably under the influence. This... the elbow area, my elbow's dry, but this was so bad. And, I never want to experience that again. That pain there was...
You're kidding. Really?
It was bad. Yeah. I didn't expect that.
Wow.
When I went to get my tattoo, I was 45, and there was a elderly woman there who was there for her second foot, the top of her foot, and she had... National Audubon birds in full color.
Oh.
And they were gorgeous. And she's like, "Oh, don't worry, honey. I did pass out yesterday, which is why we didn't get both feet done." And I'm like, great.
Do you have the top of the foot?
No, I just have this.
How'd that feel?
It was fine. That. I actually got where if I knew where I'd put it and what it would be and had real confidence, I would get more because I kind of really loved the process of getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
But
I got my first one at age 61.
Really?
I
Just a
didn't
few
even
months
have to
ago.
hold his hand. He was super good.
No, that one. About my AT adventure. I had thought about it
That's
for 5
awesome.
years or so, so I
So
finally
you
got it.
designed that? That's awesome.
I had the components, and the tattoo artist he put it together real quick, and then our daughter Sam said, well, let's tweak it a little bit.
So we just walk into a place
I was
with
terrified.
no plan in Asheville, North Carolina.
Hot stuff tattoo.
The tattoo artist who was available just
Eric Jones.
happened to be 11 months in recovery.
Yep.
It is
bad.
just...
But like a 24, 25-year-old 25 years of
Career.
tattooing
Wow.
career. Had his own shop out in California. Eric Jones, True West. Follow him on Instagram. Good dude.
Okay.
And
But just the love, like, recovery is just like
It's,
this affirmation that he was in the right place
oh,
at
I
the right
know,
time.
Yeah. And talking about the pathways of recovery and multiple pathways.
He's not
and
afraid
all
of a
that.
lot, but he looked pretty shaky that day.
Oh, I know. It's just, but that's always how in my recovery I've expanded my comfort zone, is to step outside of it.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you can ever expand your comfort zone. There is no other way.
That's a good line.
Oh, I
It's
said that a
true.
lot in the Recovery Coach Academy, but probably not. But yeah, thank you.
The best, I think the
It's
best
true, though.
lessons are built, we don't,
Mm-hmm.
when things are easy or when we don't feel like challenged or uncomfortable, there's no, what's the gift on the other side
Right.
of that? Like the gift, not the,
Oh, but we don't want to stress anybody out or trigger them or challenge them because everybody's so fragile in recovery, We don't want to harm. Sorry.
Oh boy, you're going down a bad road right now.
I know. Well, what can I say?
I feel both sides of it.
I know, probably.
There's generational differences too. Like
Oh, yeah.
I was born in &86, so I definitely, I didn't have a cell phone until I was 8. We didn't have those. Like, that wasn't a thing. And,
Mm-hmm.
kids these days have them really early on. And, there's so many different, we didn't have social media. The exposure is different to stuff. I guess, I don't know. Maybe kids are meaner, more mean.
Or they have an outlet to be mean. I mean, when they're mean on social media,
Yeah,
it's
like
just like
growing up,
it's
if a friend said something
simpler.
bad about you, it would have to make it through the human trail to get
Yes.
back to you.
And a paper note that was written and passed around
and
science
people might
class.
cut it off or something
Yeah.
too, or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, your best friend would tear it up and be like, "Don't talk about."
And now it's thought, thumbs,
Yeah,
received.
and it's
Yep.
all there, and
yeah.
that's awful. I don't know. So I see where we, because not everyone has good intentions. So, yeah,
I think as a society, this is just me, we're overly sensitive, just incredibly overly sensitive. Everything becomes so personal.
We are. We haven't learned the things that allow us to receive difficult information without
yes.
feeling it.
Or attacking.
Yeah.
This is so
Not
cool
attacking.
that you're talking about this. This is something that receiving feedback and hearing difficult things from people and how, Phil, you're the executive director. So I'm sure when you say something, people are like, "Oh my goodness!" So the power stuff too, or places where
Yes.
people are like, "I'm just a regular guy," but
Right.
No, well, that's
You
sound like Jolie, who has been with me for 19 years. Many times over my career, she goes, "Phil, I know you were kidding. I know all that, but they don't know that. So you always underestimate the influence you have on people, and I underestimate. I always underestimate. So
Yep.
I just do think I'm just a regular guy, but." So what I really tried to do is just be more encouraging of people and not kids.
So you are not a regular guy. Let me just say
well.
that, but not in the way that they think. But one of the things, have you done recovery yoga yet? any kind of recovery yoga?
So yes, but not in a setting like a 12-step, not the 12-step recovery yoga, but I did once. But I've done yoga in recovery circles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't say because one time and it was many years ago.
It's okay. Well, where I was headed with that in this conversation was that I married, our daughter teases me because I always say my buddy Zach. But my buddy Zach does recovery yoga for our students at UConn. Mm-hmm. And it's 45 minutes of yoga practice and then 45 minutes of an all recovery meeting. And what he's taught me, I have not done the yoga. What he's taught me is that during the all recovery meeting, the sharing part, they all take a breath in between somebody's sharing together. And what that does is start to build this muscle memory that I can share hard things and then breathe my way through it. And I can hear hard things. And because we're taking that collective breath after everybody shares, there's unity in it. And so you begin to train your body with breath work to hear and say hard things, which I just think is such a powerful tool.
And I agree. And I think my words are not good this morning. Like trying to think of the words that's a great analogy too for like anywhere in life. Like how can we just like let it go too, mm-hmm. Without like having that like hold space and create anxiety and like mm-hmm. the breath work thing. It's such a simple thing, but it is so powerful. So mm-hmm. kudos to Zach for being able to really like, how, because we could talk about that in yoga and practice it, mm-hmm. but then when we're not there, so if we're practicing it in a meeting is real life and it's not like you're not in a position where you're not talking. I think that's applicable to any conversation you can have with someone that's difficult or anything that you go through, like a doctor's appointment that's causing anxiety. I hate the doctor. Even I'm just going to get like a physical and I'm struggling.
Well, you went through an elbow tattoo, so how bad can it be?
It's
breathe through your elbow tattoo.
You got to get a different doctor. That's all I'll say.
I love my doctor. Oh. So I guess ever since I was a kid, they used to have to strap me down on a gurney to like something happened there where a doctor is just not
mm-hmm.
I don't know. Okay. That's an early memory.
There you go.
Trying to get my blood taken by, and having like a full-blown panic attack at like 6 years old.
Wow.
Well, if they strapped you down to get it, then I think that's exactly where
I was not having it. And then, they were like, we're going to get this.
We're going to get that blood.
If Phil had been there, he would have scooped you up and just taken you out. There's no way. That's, I've seen him as a dad, like, we can do this another day. Mm-hmm. We gone.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
And who knows what headspace I was in at the time and why I was like, I don't know.
So
you're keeping us back on track.
I am, because I'm really interested in how did you end up avoiding alcohol and starting to use drugs? And how old were you and all that?
Okay, so I was 12. So 12 years old. My grandfather had passed away. It was the night before his funeral, and I was in 7th grade. And I went, so this is an alcohol thing. I went with my friends, and I stole some Peachtree. I don't know, some crappy alcohol brand.
Well, that sounds pretty good to me.
Peachtree schnapps.
And I hated it. And I was like, people like this?
I know? Right?
So I was like, not for me, and reinforced like my environment and everything around me. And so I was like, I gotta find something else. So marijuana. Started smoking marijuana, mm-hmm. and then I had a close friend who was older than me, who is now passed, not from the disease, but other stuff, and they were a really good influence on me. So for like 2 years or so, I didn't do anything. And I don't know what happened. High school came and started smoking weed. And at that time, dating myself here, and everyone in my generation who has used probably knows, like, ecstasy was a huge thing then. And, you know, when I found that, I thought, this is like, where has this been my whole life, you know? And if I could have done that forever, you know, that would have.
Is it like, what the name of the drug, is that what it does?
Oh my goodness. Like,
I've never heard anybody describe ecstasy to me before. Have you?
Movies.
Is it still around?
Yeah, they call it Molly.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Molly. I mean,
all right.
You know, so I don't know if it's like the pills that we probably used to do back in the day. They were mixed with all types of stuff. Like, you'd get a certain mix and it would bring you down. You'd get another one, it would bring you up, and you know, it was cut with all kinds of other drugs. But the MDMA that's in there is, you know, they use it in healing spaces. Like, a lot of, I watched a documentary on Vice, I believe Germany or maybe Austria, one of those places where they use it a lot. It's like the ketamine treatment. But very euphoric feeling, and it literally feels like your skin feels good, everything feels good. You know, you can just like be in a space and feel good. Wow. And I always had a lot of worry and anxiety about, you know, when I walked into a room before drugs, I would always be like, everyone's looking at me. I can't, you know, like, just sit down. Like, I would never be late to class or leave. I didn't want people like looking at me. And when I did that, everything changed. Yeah. So, and then it escalated from there to many other drugs and
social lubricant. That was always what alcohol was for me, but I never knew which Phil was going to come out as soon as I started drinking.
Oh yeah, that's me and alcohol, same thing.
I never knew.
Which was it your use that had you changing high schools mid?
No, again, I didn't want to go to. I was like, just so before drugs too. I had a really, you know, significant issue too with food. Like, I had a raging eating disorder for, you know, once I started using drugs, you know, it's one addiction for another, and it's very much like using. So at that point in time, I was just in a really dark place, and I wanted to, you know, the school that, like, public high schools, there were so many people there, and it was like a lot of pressure on me. And at the time, I just wanted to go to like a smaller place that, you know, like 200 students. I didn't want to, you know, deal with all that. I'm an introvert, and so energy, and I didn't know it at the time, but like energy and people, it's exhausting for me. And so like having to like be like social, and I sound terrible right now, but like it was draining, you know.
It sounds terrible. I think that's true. I don't think we do a good job recognizing that about our young people as well. We create a lot of anxiety and stress, maybe unnecessarily. I was very anxious as a kid and didn't know it until I hit recovery into my late 20s, early 30s, how anxious and fearful I was. I thought that was normal. That's the way everybody felt. Everybody was wired that way. So I didn't know any different. So I knew when I drank, all that went away, and I felt a lot better. Yeah. Yeah.
It's, you know, it's one of those things where you don't even understand that you're because I used to be like, I'm not self-medicating. I'm
partying.
Yeah.
I'm having fun.
I couldn't be in a space with other people and feel comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
I guess.
No, I often tell the story of getting ready to go out for the night, and I didn't wait to go out for the night to start drinking. I would have my Aquanet hairspray and my Absolute and soda, and like both were required to prepare this to go out.
You're pre-gaming.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I just learned that working with college students. I didn't know that term back in the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny because in hindsight we see so many things, and like, you know, when I was 16, 17, and people would say to me, you got to be careful. You like, and I'm like, I was always, even from the time I was a kid, my mom would tell me, don't do it, and I would do it. Like, I was that terrible child. I love my mom. She dealt with a lot. And, like, you know, my parents were together, but my dad, he drove a truck. Like, he was a local delivery driver, but he worked 1 million hours a week, and he wasn't around. So my poor mother had to literally, I would do crazy stuff. I'd jump off the shed and, like,
you're my kind of kid.
oh, God, it was bad. I'd get lost in the woods
He'd be
for
giving
hours.
you the ladder to climb up. That's
Yeah.
kind of dad.
I got in trouble. I used to ring people's doorbells, like, in Springfield and run. And,
we
like,
do
me
that
and my
too.
friends, it just stupid things that my poor mom. And I would end up outside the principal's office, like, in first grade because I didn't like to raise my hand. If I had something to say, I was saying it. And
I was probably chucking pencils or erasers or something, or trying to get the pencil to stick in the ceiling, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I was
Did you
angry.
ever do that?
No.
I used to beat up the boys.
Did you?
Bad, like, because my neighborhood was all boys too, aside from my friend that I.
So you're a fighter?
Oh yeah. In my recovery though, I have not
Had a single
had
fight?
a single fight. I've had some, you know, boisterous altercations, but
Oh my God.
no physical ones.
Oh my God, I can't even yell.
I
have
don't
no
like
yelling
it.
in me.
Really?
I
Your
have
kids?
I have no outward anger, aggression. It is all sucked in,
Oh.
She gets angry and she cries.
Oh.
which is not empowering or impactful to those you are trying to impact.
I love that.
The one time I actually got my voice to a commanding yell, Phil and the kids stood up
Did
and
they
gave me a
laugh?
standing ovation. They were so proud of me.
Phil.
But it,
The kids did too.
yeah,
I wasn't
but
alone.
it
They're
didn't.
They're probably
I mean,
like, come on.
I
are
was
you
really
serious?
mad about
No, that's
whatever.
what it usually is. When she's trying to be
mad.
mad. She's trying to be, but that's what she said. I'm mad, and they just look at her. No, you're not. But then one time she did, and we said that she crossed the line here, and we gave her a standing ovation. All right.
I love that. That's
She's
really funny.
mad.
I never tried it again though.
Why?
Maybe I need a voice coach, because part of it is my yell like just tapers off.
And the dog
Like it
doesn't
goes
listen
into
to
nothing.
her.
The dog doesn't listen to me.
But because
Phil doesn't listen
because
to
she
me.
doesn't
No,
have
I
it in she doesn't have it in her voice. A dog will let you know if you
Does-
have it in your voice.
Does the dog just like?
He will do whatever I want him to as long as he agrees.
Oh. Sorry, I
Kind
was
of like
on
Phil.
your
That's
side with
That's
the
kind of exactly like Phil. He will do whatever I want him to as long as he agrees
You have
that
to make
is
him
something
think it's
he
their
wants
idea.
to do. Yeah. I didn't think about that before. But anyway, so you made it through high school?
Yes. So to your point, I did.
No, she didn't.
When I went back to public school, it was related because at that point I was using a lot and I didn't want to go to school anymore. And my mom told me, I remember, I was like, I'm dropping out. And, you know, I was just going to raves and like hanging out in the street and just not good stuff. And my mom said, okay, you find a place to live. You're not going to live here. Like, what are you going to do? And I was like, that's a good question. I guess if I want a place to live, I need to go to school. So, you know, I don't know what, you know, when you're young, you think you know everything too. I thought I knew everything. That was always my problem. I could not take, I still am very like, defiant, like in authority. Like the first couple of years of recovery, for example, I didn't wear a seatbelt because I was like, that's the one thing that I can do illegally. And then somebody said to me, that's like corny. Like they used different words, but they were like, oh, you think you're tough? Like you're not wearing a seatbelt. Oh, you're really getting one over. And after like the fourth time I got pulled over for not wearing a seatbelt, I was like, oh, okay, I should probably wear one because I'm paying for not, like, this is silly. But like very like, you know, I used to get in trouble with the law a lot back in the day, and I, you know, it didn't really hold weight to me. Like where now, I don't know what shifted. There's, you know, there's those people that respond to punishment and there's the people that respond to reward. I respond to the threat of punishment. Like, X, Y, and Z is going to happen if you don't do, But at the time, it didn't matter. Like, whatever was hanging over my head, I was just winging it. So
you finished.
I finished.
And what happened?
Oh, my addiction just, took me down. And I had a rough several years. And I actually ended up out here because I, kept getting into trouble back home. And I thought, if I come out here... To Connecticut, yeah. Specifically to the casino area, because my cousin was a pit boss and was like, do you want a job? You can make, really good money as a dealer. And I was like, perfect. I'll get out of here. But I took me with me here. And so, that didn't last long. Like I was doing well for probably like 8 or 9 months, and I quickly...
You were dealing at the casino.
I could totally see you doing that. In the little vest?
Yes. And I used to deal high limit. I used to deal high limit blackjack, very high limit, and Pai Gow tiles, high limit. So I was, I would deal regular, but I was always in like the higher limit pits. It was fun. It was like, but then the life of the casino, the environment it's a weird place, and it's
creepy.
Yes. And super, super not a good space if you've ever struggled with substance use disorder. Let's just put it that way. Like, there's anything, it's the casino. Anything you could ever that's bad for you is happening there. Like, I can remember, this is awful. I'd be dealing, and like, people would be like, please, God. And I'd be like, hold on, God, he's not hanging out in this building here. So you're talking to the wrong one right now. And people would laugh. They'd be like, yeah, you're right. Like, don't bring God here. That's not this is like a very human thing that's happening right now.
I always think of a casino as this, almost like entering a built cave, and there's no windows, and it's dark, but there's lights. And It's just, it messes with your mind as soon as you walk in there. It's like, wow. And bells and whistles and dinglings. And it's a weird place, though, don't you think?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely think so. And we've been a few times, and Phil cannot participate. So he's usually hanging out while I participate.
I played a little
slot machine, but one time we did roulette or something. Roulette. Sorry, roulette.
Roulette.
The French.
No, it's roulette in French too.
Is it?
Yes, it's E-T-T-E at the end. It's roulette.
I've never heard someone not say roulette.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
So he's telling me what to do. And he's like vibrating because I won the first time, and I have no idea what I'm doing, right? Like, and he's like, I gotta walk away.
I do have to walk away.
But ironically, I'm taking my daughter and her friends down there for a concert soon, and so I'm not going to the concert. So we'll see what kind of trouble I can get into. I just don't believe in easy money. I've had to work for all the money I've gotten.
And that is not...
There was one time the kids were watching you play something. And
I said, I'm going to spend $20.
And you were up like $70, and they're like, stop, Mom, stop.
No, they were upset.
Yeah, they're yelling
really
at you.
Upset.
Why?
They were had to stay on the other side because she wanted to keep playing.
I wanted to keep playing because I had said I'll lose 20, I'm going to
I want to lose this
$20. And so I'd play until I lost it. And the minute I won, they were like, get out of there.
They're yelling at her. Stop.
I'm okay.
That's really cute.
They were they were very upset.
Right. I think that was Joshua especially,
Joshua
right?
and Samantha.
Yeah, they were so mad that you would want to lose. You're up at $20. But that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a rush that you get.
Oh, it's all programmed and figured out and all that.
Yeah. There's a reason when people are like, there's some people who I know who are like, I always win. I'm like, okay, the casino wasn't built from people always winning, so
yeah.
Like, it's like funny to me but it's usually the addict brain that like that's what turns on and gives you that false illusion of always winning.
When I was a golf pro, back in the late 80s, there were many, that was probably when my gambling was at its highest. And there were guys that would go to the casino, and there was one guy that actually made a living, but he told me his secret was, I go with $1,000 to make 100, and then when I hit that, I leave. And there are other guys, most people will go with 100 hoping to make 1,000, and they lose the 100.
Yep.
So whether that was true or not, or he's telling me a story, but it was a different mindset than I had ever heard before.
There's something to be said. So if you are playing the same game, and this is not a go out and gamble anyone, but if you are playing the same game the same way, over, like, your chances of making something happen there are greater. It's when you do the $100 and then you have to do it the same way and say, okay, like, I need this amount of money to make this amount of money.
Right.
And
there will be
it doesn't always work,
right?
But if you do it that same way every time, it can kind of even out. I mean, if you have it to play with and you're okay, you're not skipping work to go to the casino.
Now, did gambling ever beckon to you as a participant?
So I like to play poker, like fun with friends. I play house games, like love that kind of stuff. I love cards, like I play all types of spades, whatever. But my dad's father had a serious gambling issue, and so I, saw a lot of stuff back in the day, and I'll play here and there, but as a rule, I try to, because I know it's a slippery slope. And even when I win, like, I'm like, ooh, like that feeling of, I'll sit at a blackjack table and I'll play with some money, but, it's almost better if I lose, because then I'm not, like, excited to go back. Like, I don't think about it, like, the next weekend where I'm like, oh, there's nothing to do,
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I can do aside from going to Foxwoods or
I agree. So you're in recovery. What happened to get you in recovery?
So, yeah, that's a really dark bottom towards the end. I got into a car accident, and before the car accident, I had no intentions of stopping using. And I truly think, like, this is where, I didn't have any faith ever. Like, I would search for it, back in the day, like certain drugs and whatnot. But I never had any connection to anything greater than me, no spiritual anything. I used to try and no luck. So I got into a car accident and I hit my head like hard. It was a bad car accident. And the next morning I woke up and I was like, I think I gotta stop using. Like, this is not, I survived this car accident, and I'm here for a reason. And so I picked up the phone, I started calling detoxes, and I didn't know how this worked. I had tried other forms of trying to stop. I tried so many things to stop using, and I never could, and I thought there was, like, something wrong with me, but I had never asked for, like, actual help. Like, it was like this. I was like, okay, I gotta do something different. So on the phone with detoxes, and every day they're like, nope, we don't have a bed. And so I'm still using. And then one morning, it was a Thursday morning, they pick up the phone and, they're like, come in. And I was like, I can't go now. Like, like I wasn't, it was like, this isn't real. So I went, and at that time, I thought that recovery was just not using, for me, it was going to be not using heroin at that point in my life.
Right.
But I could still take Xanax and, smoke and drink, because that wasn't my problem. So I learned right away that wasn't going to work. And I was introduced to a 12-step fellowship in there, and I purposely got kicked out of that detox because I wanted to use it's bad. So I was like, all right, I'm going to leave and whatever. And I made a couple phone calls and nobody was getting back to me. So at that point, that was the longest I had gone without any opiates in my system.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to run with this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll never forget, that weekend, I was still doing other stuff, but not the opiates. And on Sunday, I said to my friend who has 15 years in NA, I said to her, will you take me? Now she has like 25 or something, whatever. It was like 16. She has like 25 years, I think. So it was a lot of time at the time. And I knew that. And I said to her, can you take me to a NA meeting? And I went, and it was this celebration for somebody who had like a million years. And we get in the car, and I had just gotten done telling her I'm still going to smoke and drink. And I said, what is that key tag thing? And she goes, oh, what do you mean? And I said, I have to get a key tag. Like, you know, and she goes, if you're going to keep doing those things, you're going to have to get a key tag every meeting. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing that. Like, so I went home. And the next morning I woke up and I, got rid of all my stuff that I had left, and that was it. And I detoxed from everything you could imagine, like through people in Narcotics Anonymous. So
in 2013?
Yes, May of 2013.
And how old were you? You were
27.
I got in recovery when I was 28, yeah.
And I thought, it's crazy because I thought my life was over at 27. And now I'm like, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's important because Narcotics Anonymous was the beginning of my journey. And, I struggled with I was very closed-minded. I thought that if you were a 12-step person, you stayed a 12-step person. You don't leave the fellowship. Like all those hardline ideas in my head, like recovery does not exist outside of there. It doesn't work. They try to make you really believe that this is the only thing ever. But for me, it was the only thing that ever worked. I had tried so many different things, and I thought, if I didn't even have to go to treatment and I was able to get some, if I can do this, anyone can do it here. Mm-hmm. And so I felt that way for many years, very closed-minded, and I started working for the last agency that I worked for. And the woman, my director, my supervisor, her name's Carol Jones, put me on to multiple pathways, harm reduction, all these other views. And so I started to struggle with Narcotics Anonymous. And I was like, oh no, I have been killing people in what I say. And I started to feel all this guilt. And I actually called Jennifer Chadukowicz and I was like, what do I do? And she was like, this is the point, is 12 steps are, Narcotics Anonymous is great. It's the people that bring all these outside. And I was like, all right. She's like, keep it to the traditions and you won't have to feel that way about what saved your life, essentially. Mm-hmm. And she's like, and have you ever thought that other stuff does work? And I'm like, I know, that's what I'm realizing right now. And, I had this moment where I was like, I need to ditch Narcotics Anonymous. But I came to a place of I can be in all these spaces and who cares what people think? I know who my recovery and who I am. And I'm not going to be responsible for making anyone else feel unwelcome or that their recovery isn't as valid as mine. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And so with the help of my Jennifer and a bunch of other people in my life, I was able to come to a peace with that. But really it was my supervisor at my really ingraining in me that there's more than one way to recover. And so that was a very pivotal point in my recovery. At the time I had 5 years, right around there, or 4 years, something like that. And it really changed the way that I viewed life, it really everything. And so yeah, I owe it to her. She's an amazing person.
So it's a both and. Do you you said you had, did you ditch Narcotics Anonymous? That was your word, or are you still going? You were thinking about it, or what that meant? I was
thinking about it.
So for me, it's always a both and from your story already, your early years of recovery also looked like, I like to say tapestry, that we all have different colors in our tapestry, and it evolves as we mature in recovery. So let's say your 12-step was blue. That's what I like to say. There's a lot of blue running through my tapestry, and blue's a beautiful color, and it complements a lot of other colors. But think of the color that your education process added to your recovery and what it did for your esteem and your mental well-being and your emotion and all that to kind of channel your energy. So that was a color as well. That was part of your recovery pathway or your recovery tapestry. Yeah. And I'm sure there were other things too.
Yeah.
Right?
That was a very...
Your work in some ways.
Yeah, that's kind of how I came to it. Not in the tapestry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't have to be, like, there's so many different things and avenues that have, if you open your mind, it hasn't just been this, you know, like there's been so many other things. Like, you know, when I believe honestly from that car accident experience, when I was doing CrossFit. I was in the gym hardcore, and people laugh at that. They're like, wait, you were a heroin addict? And it is so common. People don't, there's like they should do a documentary on like bodybuilders, and there has been on bodybuilders, but like in the fitness community, what's underneath, you know, and yeah, you know about steroids and this and that, but really like the substance use disorders. And it kind of makes sense. Like when people get obsessed with something, if you have that in you, you know, there's no good obsessions, but when you are really passionate about something and you have that kind of personality, you're more apt to try.
So you just threw that in there. You're CrossFit. So talk to me about your fitness and how that led to the Phoenix.
So that was very pivotal for me. Like I was kind of like that in the beginning of Narcotics Anonymous. I was like, what is wrong with people? They just want to go out to eat and smoke cigarettes. And like, yeah, I smoked cigarettes, but like at the time, it was like I smoke 2 cigarettes a day. It took me forever to quit smoking 2 cigarettes a day, like 2016. So I would go to the gym, work out, do all these Metcons, metabolic conditioning. Like it's sorry, it's you know, like I would do like 3 a day at the time. I was like, you know, doing a lot of CrossFit, so short, fast workouts that incorporate different modalities. So weightlifting, gymnastics, running, you know, stuff that's going to get your heart rate really like moving. Then I would smoke 2 cigarettes a day. Like, what? And I couldn't stop. And, you know, like I would try and I'd go a couple days and then I'd be like, oh, I need a cigarette. And people would be like, why are you even bothering to smoke 1 or 2 cigarettes a day? And I'm like, again, it's that one thing I'm holding on to, and it's nicotine. And, you know, that's a fun one. That's a really hard one. But yeah, I fell in love with CrossFit like 2009, maybe. You know, I was a personal trainer at a gym for many years, like, and that was after my casino.
So you're working, you're addicted, you're a trainer.
Yes.
In a gym.
And I literally was going on break and using and coming back, and like, you know, back then fentanyl wasn't a thing. Like it was, you know, it was different. So like, I don't know. I didn't ever think either about the fact that I could lose my life to that. Like, I mean, I guess I didn't care. At that point, it was like, whatever, like at the end. But exercising was really what I think preserved me, and especially in that accident, like I don't think if I had my physical health that I would have had the same outcome in that.
Do you think that the CrossFit and all of that was connected at all to your eating disorder that you talked about, or had you kind of moved that aside once you started using?
Yeah, my question was more, what are you doing nutritionally too during all this time?
Terrible eating habits, because I didn't have a lot of money for food. Food was a
a luxury or a necessity.
I was so thin at the time too, and
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like, oh, I'm fine. Like, I have a 6-pack, whatever. If I didn't have a 6-pack, I might have felt differently, but the drugs consumed that spot in my brain for a long time.
Yeah.
But I do think that my obsessive nature and the way that I think was a huge aspect of me really getting into CrossFit. It was like all I thought about for years. And, drugs too. But like that was all I cared about. Like I didn't, I love NFL football. Like I don't watch other sports, like a little basketball here and there. But at the time, it was like CrossFit. I'm watching all the stuff on, and it was on the computer. Like you had to log on to CrossFit and watch stuff. So it just consumed me. And I just happened to be a heroin addict.
Very fit heroin addict.
It's so weird. It's such a strange blend,
This weirdness has been a theme through your whole story.
People probably stopped listening 20 minutes ago.
Or they're totally enwrapped.
40 minutes ago.
So talk to us about the Phoenix. What is that about?
So this is such an exciting, awesome entity for me.
Mm-hmm.
My own selfish, I'm like, everyone should come and try stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
The Phoenix is, so I'll explain because I know you two know what it is, but just for anyone listening. So the Phoenix is an organization, a nonprofit, national nonprofit that is centered around connection. So I don't even want to say like physical activity because there's so much more than that. We have an art social at the New Haven CCAR Center every week. But really what it does is bring people together who have the same interests, or even not. You might be trying something for the first time and not even know that you like it. But it brings people together and shows them that they can have fun in recovery and build community in recovery that isn't necessarily in a church basement or a, what other, I don't know. My brain, like I said, my words.
A meeting hall of some type. It's a lot more than just a meeting.
Recovery is so much more than just, it's connection with other people. And it's not just about constant, self-work. Like, we have to have fun and we have to have community. We have to, have our people,
Your famous line, I didn't get sober
to be miserable.
It's so true. Mm-hmm. And, showing people that, yeah, you can. I'm not a mountain climber, but like Scott would say, yeah, you can climb that mountain or you can lift that bar. Like whatever it is that you think that you might not be able to do, like with other people, anything is possible. Community is huge in recovery. And so that's what the Phoenix is to me. Like that's my own personal, I've even just the short time that we've launched programming and been here in Connecticut, I have some new best friends and some people that I know I will be in my life forever. And I just met them in June. So
it's that thing we were talking about, getting outside your comfort zone, that you provide opportunity safely for the most part for people to do it with other people. We're starting rekindling the multiple pathways hiking club.
I love this.
Yeah, and our
with
first
the Phoenix.
With the Phoenix. Well, it's and we want to just do some simple walks to begin with, hikes, going to our hometown, Case Mountain, and doing the simple 2.9 mile loop, and we'll go halfway up and have a all recovery meeting, and then come back down.
I love this.
Loop. Yeah.
This is going to be fun because we're going to be able to, I know you're we're going through winter, so hopefully weather, I know. But a lot of people are like, ugh, the ice, the snow.
Oh, no. See, this is perfect for me that
really?
You're starting in the winter because I have a irrational...
Are you scared of ticks?
No.
Oh, I got excited because I am real bad.
No, I have an irrational fear of snakes. like
Oh.
off the chain, full on panic attack response.
No.
So I usually walk with Phil more in the winter, and especially in the snow, I feel really comfortable.
There's no snow snakes around.
I was on the airline trail the other day.
I've heard about that trail.
That is cool. It's 40 miles. I started thinking about that. I was like, how can we do this? Like, maybe we could do like a nonstop. Like, we're just doing it.
But there's a thing that she really wants to do is hike Cape Cod.
Yeah, on the bike trail.
On the bike trail.
90
and people
miles.
have done it, 90 miles from
Do
the
you camp on
canal to Race Point. You could.
I love Race Point.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of Race Point stories.
Love it.
Yeah.
We spent 20 years on Race Point.
I love it. Truro, and that's like the...
Yep.
Yeah,
but
over
Race
sand
Point
on
specifically.
over sand on
in front of the
on
lighthouse.
trucks.
That's
Yeah.
where my
That's awesome.
spot is.
I love it there. I love... It's kind of... The last time I went... This is hilarious. My friend has an irrational fear of sharks. So
that's rational.
And especially there, you're going to love this one. The next day, it might have been not the next day, but we went, got home. We stayed there for like 4 days. It was like my partner, my friend, and the seals were real close. And I was like, that means, they're sharks, like literally like probably like a foot after where you are, Phil.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm well aware.
And so she said, well, that's probably like to here. And I was like, yeah, the sharks are deeper than that. The next day, last summer, they posted that video of the shark literally right. It was like only 4 feet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's the same place that we were. And I'm like, I know. Well, next time we go, you can't go past the ankle, I guess.
There's a Sharktivity app.
I have that.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I was there last time, I was like, holy cow. Like,
yeah.
It was last summer. I mean, I didn't go this summer, so I didn't look it. I had to silence it because it was so crazy last summer. I was like, this is nuts. Every beach was closing like for hours in the day.
That's completely rational. I do know that my snake fear is irrational. But anyway, I look forward to hiking with you guys this winter.
I'm excited about it.
What's home life like? What's your life like? Your mom still?
Yeah, my mom lives in Groton. I live in New London.
Oh, so she came to Connecticut too.
Yep. I close with her. I haven't seen her because she's been like, I haven't seen her in like a month, but that's still a long time to not see her. She's an artist. She's a free spirit, very, and a Pisces. I don't know if you're into astrological signs, but
it's cool that she's an artist. Does she get involved with the Phoenix at all?
No, she's done a community challenge, but she has all these like little art things that she does, and she could down the road.
So as we begin to kind of wrap up a little bit, tell us about your home life. What's home life like? Oh, did I just... Sorry, we might have to cut this.
With that.
Well, no, we have, because we had a 10:30, and I just wanted to see if Elon had responded on Zoom. And Don, have you seen that, if he has or not? I just kind of...
His dad has Alzheimer's, so I just...
No. Well, I knew you were covering it, but
what? Are you serious right now?
It's like, no.
She is going to leave all this stuff. I don't know what he's going to do. But I'm just making sure he's not on Zoom right now waiting for us.
So your mom.
So close with my mom. I have a fiance. No kids. Don't want kids. I got a pit bull, rescue pit bull, 2 cats. I am very into going in the woods by myself, going to the beach. I have a gym in my basement. Phoenix has, taken over what I do now. But yeah, I'm a creative person. I like to, and that doesn't have, like, I don't mean like art. Like, I'm not good at that. Although Rita in New Haven is teaching us Zentangle, and it is awesome. Like, if you're not a person who's good at art, try Zentangle. That's all I'm saying. I'm putting it out there. And yeah, Rita, props to Rita for the Zentangle.
So you skipped over getting engaged. I had a chance to meet your partner at Recovery Fest.
Yep. So 2018, I got engaged.
Don't get this wrong.
I got engaged. Well, it's like forever engaged. Like, I don't know. I'm not a big celebration. What, like, I don't want to do any of that. I'm like, I probably am like the party pooper. I don't.
How about recovery celebrations, like anniversaries?
I get like, yeah, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to like have people like come to, I'm one of those people. I was telling Sandy, I want you to invite me to the party, but I'm not gonna go. Like, that's straight up me. I'm gonna love you, and whatever.
And this is the part that organizes events, like connection events. But
it's ironic.
There's a lot of strange themes going through this discussion.
I've been dying to go to a wedding because we haven't had one in 4 years.
No.
So.
I think I went to 2 this summer, and they were actually good. They were fun. Friends through recovery, their kids.
Wow.
Yeah. But I don't, as a rule, really, weddings aren't. It's a lot of money for one, like 5 hours. Come on.
No, I agree. So are there any other big Phoenix events that you would want people to know about in the Connecticut area?
Yeah, so we have a weekly schedule and, same events that happen weekly. So Tuesday nights, we're always community fitness at the Free Center in Hartford. Wednesdays kind of changes every week. So we have sound healing, Kelvin Young.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Sound healing at the Free Center. And then on the off week, we do a walk at Walnut Hill, a 5K, which is a really nice park in New Britain, if anyone's ever been there.
Yeah.
And we have a lot. So at CCAR New Haven, we do every Tuesday. It changes, but we do a mindful creativity, and we also do an art social, which is, that's been awesome. Thursdays, we do a social there. So we play games. Yesterday, we had so much fun playing. We played this game, it's an old game, and it's like facts. So you pick like 5 different categories. Oh, you know about this?
No.
Phil's, no. And then a different letter. And then you have, I don't know what it is, the sand, the hourglass, however long it is. It might be 2 minutes, I don't know. And you have to come up with, so say it's musical instruments, and you have a J, a T, an L, a P, and a Y. You have to have, that's one category, but there's 5 different other things. You have to come up with all the instruments of that letter. And then as a group, you go over and you see if it's hilarious. It's so fun. And that's a great gang down there. New Haven, CCAR, they're awesome. So we do that. We do a Bluff Point hike on Saturdays. Fridays, it kind of changes. Yeah, that's fun.
Near the ocean.
Yep. I love it there. So Fridays this month, tonight we have an art social, but I think that's full. And it's, they're doing a Halloween craft. Nothing next Friday. But the following Friday, we're doing the corn maze in Ledyard at Preston Farms. Pretty cool. Or Preston. Oh, it's the same thing. But yeah, so that's really challenging. And the place itself doesn't allow drinking or smoking. So that's kind of like a good, we don't have to make any special time slots for it. You can just like go, and it's a flashlight corn maze. It's fun, really challenging. And then on the 29th, that's a Friday, we have our hike.
Is it Friday or Wednesday?
It's a Friday.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. The 29th is a Friday.
Okay, I thought it was the 27th.
Are you messing with me, Phil?
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, today's the 8th. So
Okay.
the 29th would be a Friday.
I know, but I thought it was the 27th. That's what I have in my book. We'll figure it out.
Well, we're excited.
Wednesdays don't work for you or something, right?
Yeah.
Was that what I remember?
Yeah. So then you said Friday.
Okay.
Phil. Okay.
This is the way I work. You starting to understand.
So from my perspective, working in collegiate recovery, and when I think about my students, like the ability to be part of a bigger community and create connections and have it not all be about just what you said, just constantly just working on yourself and focusing on that, but being in an environment of people who aren't drinking, who aren't drugging, who may or may not be in recovery from a substance use disorder, like that we can be in a safer situation doing things that are fun with people who truly want to connect. I think it's awesome. And I am proud to wear my Phoenix t-shirt.
I love that. And you hit the nail on the head too. Like the Phoenix, a lot of people have this preconceived thing of like a recovery thing is just for people in recovery. Recovery, addiction, it all affects everyone, and we welcome everyone. As long as you have 48 hours of sobriety, whatever that like looks like in the, a greater picture for you, whether it's recovery, an ally, or you are sober curious, you're welcome, and we want the community to hang out with us. I don't just want it to be like people in recovery who have had a substance use disorder or struggle with substance use disorder. It's for everyone.
Right. Because people in recovery have a lot to offer people who have never needed it.
Yeah.
Because we still have a lot of incredible tools and practices that got us there. And people who have never needed or had a substance use disorder is really important as well. We don't
have a lot to offer us.
Yeah, have a lot to offer.
People in recovery.
Yeah.
I think, too, that you really provide vehicles for people to enjoy life. And after 62 years, I really thought I found the meaning of life. I've known my purpose for the last 25 years or so, which I consider myself blessed, which was now is to coach recovery. But the meaning of life, the only thing I can make sense of in all my spiritual conversations is we're here to enjoy it. And how many people go through life with no joy or no enjoyment? And recovery gives us the ability to enjoy things. So a walk through the woods and everything you do and connecting with people, that's very enjoyable.
Yeah, connection. Like that's
and we
the
deserve
opposite.
Joy. We deserve to enjoy things.
Yeah. Like life isn't just checking the boxes and, I know so many people who aren't in recovery who could benefit from principles of just, enjoying life and connecting with others and, having those relationships, that meaningful relationships where you really like show up for them, whatever that is, no matter what space you're in or other people are in, you're showing up for them,
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Leigh.
Thank you for having me.
Hope you enjoyed this.
I did. I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
We are really trying to build Phoenix here in Connecticut so people can get involved in many different ways. So you can become a team member, and that's just coming to an event. And once you do that, you're a team member. So that's virtual or in person, or we have on demand. Or you can get involved through volunteering. So if you have expertise or you want to start a different kind of recovery club or something in that nature, you can go to our website and you will find our volunteer portal there, which is very easy to navigate. But everything is at thephoenix.org. So, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Leigh.
Thank you.
Thank you.